So, right here, Chicago Sky's Angel Reese sounds off about entitlement. And I was like, what is she going to be talking about here? She's deciding to call the fans entitled. Unbelievable.
Is Angel Reese inadvertently positioning herself as the WNBA's biggest gamble just as the league hits the jackpot? Women's basketball is experiencing an unprecedented surge, capturing headlines and fans like never before. Yet one of its most visible young stars seems determined to swim against the current.
Reese is giving terrible advice to potential fans and followers. Absolutely. This league is claiming it wants to be popular and it wants to generate interest. And you've got an actual player, supposed to be the supposed second most popular player in the league, crapping all over fans that have taken an interest in players.
The core issue isn't just gameplay, it's a pattern of public statements and reactions that clash dramatically with the league's urgent need for positive momentum. It forces us to ask, what's the real narrative Angel Reese is building, and could it ultimately sabotage the WNBA's golden opportunity?
Y'all be feeling too entitled, thinking y'all's opinions matter about someone else's life instead of minding your own business. I promise you win at life when you just live your own life and mind your own business. I promise. I don't give a rat's about that. That statement right there.
The controversy ignited fiercely when Reese took direct aim at the very people fueling the league's growth, the fans bluntly labeling them entitled. Her words on social media were stark. Y'all be feeling too entitled, thinking y'all's opinions matter about someone else's life instead of minding your own business.
What's coming this year will still be on the rookie contract again. The ones that the year after, they gonna get more. They probably gonna be making more than us.
No, they are.
Who's that?
I'm hurt.
They are. Like, yeah. I've been in the meetings. They are.
I need to get in the. I need to get in the field.
You need to come to the meetings.
I gotta get in the meetings because I'm hearing like, yeah, they don't give us. If y'all don't give us what we want, like, we sit out.
That's a possibility for real.
The blowback was immediate. For a league finally basking in mainstream attention, having a prominent player seemingly scold the audience felt like a critical error. It wasn't perceived as confidence, but as hostility towards the expanding fan base the WNBA desperately needs to cultivate.
What are we doing here? These players in this league do not want this league to grow. Again, they want it to grow under their circumstances only. Women's basketball is finally getting attention, and now that it's getting attention, it's not the right kind of attention. Crimea River. I mean, really, what are we doing here?
But Reese didn't stop there. She soon ventured into the complex and sensitive arena of player compensation, publicly musing about potential WNBA strikes if future collective bargaining agreement negotiations don't meet player demands.
This is wild. This is a wild statement. You are a professional athlete. You are in the limelight. You have chosen to put yourself out there, which means you are open to criticism, and you're open to hearing things you aren't going to like about your play, about how you conduct yourself, all of it. It is part of being a celebrity, a sports star, whatever. There's no amount of, well, we're going to call it online hate. Nah, it's criticism.
What made this particularly jarring was Reese's status. A rookie with zero official role in the WNBA Players Association leadership or negotiating team. Floating lockout threats during a fragile growth period struck many observers as incredibly reckless, undermining the careful work being done behind the scenes.
She believes a new record would be set. Quote, first, it's the Fever versus the Chicago Sky. Wonder why they did that, Bird said. We have not seen Caitlin Clark play in a long time, okay? And it's against Angel Reese. So my guess, we're going to see like 3+ million viewers, which I'm sure will smash some kind of a record. Interesting.
This feeds directly into another contentious point. Who truly deserves credit for the WNBA's sudden explosion in popularity? Reese has occasionally positioned herself as a key driver of this newfound attention.
Reese has recently been in the headlines for threatening a potential strike in the WNBA if negotiations during the next CBA don't go as players hope. Reese thinks women in the WNBA deserve higher pay. Some fans are afraid to strike A strike could hurt the momentum the WNBA has built in popularity when Reese and Caitlin Clark entered the league. It will kill this league. It will kill it. If they go on strike, it's a wrap.
However, the objective data paints an almost entirely different picture, one overwhelmingly centered around rookie sensation Caitlin Clark. The Clark effect isn't hype. It's a statistical tidal wave transforming the league's fortunes almost overnight.
Reese uses her platform on social media and her podcast, Unapologetically Angel, to publicly espouse those beliefs. Reese recently suggested that she's different in person. Quote, the funniest thing people say to me is, wow, you're so nice in person. It's crazy the way you're portrayed online. I just laughed and say, yeah, I did a video about that. And you know what? A lot of fans said, you know what? We don't believe anybody ever told you that. Sorry. And that's, look, you know what that is? That's a fan's opinion, and they can have it.
Clark's presence is directly tied to record-shattering viewership increases, often tripling or quadrupling previous numbers, sold-out arenas forcing teams into larger venues, and merchandise sales that have obliterated league records. While Reese generates headlines, Clark generates measurable league-altering impact.
In a post on X Wednesday, Reese promised her followers that they'd be better off minding their own business. Would they be better off turning the TV off when your game is on? I mean, I wonder. I'm starting to wonder, hey, would we be better off turning the TV off when you're on? See what happens to them good old ratings? It doesn't matter if you're not playing Caitlin Clark. Nobody's watching you anyway.
This response highlights a potential disconnect with the realities of professional sports stardom. Intense scrutiny is part of the package. Top athletes learn to navigate it, but lashing out suggests an unwillingness to accept this fundamental aspect of the job.
This league is claiming it wants to be popular, and it wants to generate interest. And you've got an actual player, supposed to be the supposed second most popular player in the league, crapping all over fans that have taken an interest in players. As part of that, you're going to get positive feedback and negative feedback. That's life. That's life. As a sports player, especially.
Dismissing all negative feedback as online hate ignores the valid role public perception plays. It risks further alienating fans and damaging her own brand, creating an image not of resilience, but perhaps of defensiveness under pressure.
The more interest she receives from public, good or bad, the more publicity the WNBA receives. The more publicity the WNBA receives, the more money she stands to make on her next contract. Absolutely.
Naturally, this off-court drama intensifies the focus on the hardwood, especially during the marquee matchups between Reese's Chicago Sky and Clark's Indiana Fever. These games have transcended sport. They are cultural events.
It's unbelievable, folks. Mind your own business, fans. I know you're sports fans, and I know we're in the public, but don't criticize us. We want you to keep your opinion to yourselves. And what is so wild about hearing this, we've heard this kind of thing from other WNBA players. In a struggling league that unless Caitlin Clark plays, there is no attendance, there is no ratings, there is no gate revenue. She is the only factor that's moving the needle.
Drawing millions of viewers, these contests are fueled by the narrative of rivalry. Clark's precision and performance versus Reese's physicality and provocative style. Every interaction is scrutinized, every result magnified.
It's amazing to me. They don't want to grow. Again, they wanted to grow their league to a minute portion of the population. They never wanted regular sports fans to come in and start watching this league. Because you know what regular sports fans do? We run our mouth about all sports. NFL and the players in it right now, NBA players, Major League Baseball players, they all get criticized. They all get crushed. You want to make big money, well, you better have some thick skin at some point.
Recent flagrant fouls and heated moments during these games have only poured fuel on this fire, making each Sky versus Fever clash a high-stakes spectacle that networks eagerly promote and fans intensely debate.
The Liberty and Aces, they're going to clash here 3 times. All 3 of those are on ABC and ESPN. The Fever and the Sky, they meet 5 times. Caitlin Clark, the revamped Fever, they look to build on their success.
There have been 6 teams that have changed venues when the Indiana Fever come to play. All of these arenas are selling out.
In an attempt to counter the negative press, Reese has utilized platforms like her podcast Unapologetically Angel to argue she is simply misunderstood. She claims people often find her surprisingly nice in person.
Sigh, I miss the unrivaled already. They're mad. Caitlin Clark didn't play in that league. They want her out. They want you fans out of the league.
Angel Wilson's talking about sitting out for more money. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever, hey, we're putting every game on TV for Caitlin Clark. Everybody wants to watch her.
This is the year that they want to do whatever they possibly can to show that they deserve more and also be profitable.
One of the worst WNBA fans and one of CC's biggest haters is already complaining. They don't like the game of basketball at all. They just want to support Reese. I've said the majority of her fans are not Hoops fans.
This image rehabilitation effort, however, frequently meets a wall of public skepticism. Online reactions often echo disbelief, suggesting a significant gap between the narrative she presents and the perception shaped by her public actions.
More people are getting on board. More people are watching women's basketball. More people are watching women's college basketball. Do not slow the momentum because of ego.
Caitlin Clark draws massive viewership and other teams don't. Caitlin Clark averaged about 1.2 million viewers per game and the rest of the league about 400 to 500,000.
In today's hyper-connected world, an athlete's image is forged in the crucible of consistent public behavior. Simply stating you're misunderstood is rarely enough. Trust is built through actions, not just words.
6 WNBA networks set ratings records this season, all Caitlin Clark. 23 WNBA games drew more than 1 million viewers. Clark played in 20 of them.
Herein lies a crucial paradox. Could Angel Reese's approach be actively harming the very league growth that would benefit her financially? The WNBA's rising tide, powered significantly by Clark's arrival, promises bigger contracts and endorsements for all players.
The WNBA draft and All-Star game demolished their viewership records with Caitlin Clark. The Diana Taurasi draft drew 600,000. It was the most watched draft ever. Caitlin Clark's draft drew nearly 2.5 million. 374% increase of viewership. Fever quadrupled ticket sales after drafting Clark. Washington and Indiana set the single game attendance record of 20,711 on September 19 Capital One Arena. The WNBA's average attendance last year was 9,807 fans, up 48%. And keep in mind, that was really one person that added those 3,000 fans on average.
Alienating fans, discussing strikes prematurely, and cultivating controversy risk slowing this vital momentum. If viewership dips or sponsor enthusiasm cools because of negative perceptions, everyone, including Reese, stands to lose.
Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever schedule has come out. We now know how many national games they got. The Indiana Fever is America's team, but the old WNBA fans are furious over it. They're mad. They're crying.
Alienating fans, discussing strikes prematurely, and cultivating controversy risk slowing this vital momentum. If viewership dips or sponsor enthusiasm cools because of negative perceptions, everyone, including Reese, stands to lose. The reality is stark. Caitlin Clark is currently carrying the WNBA's visibility to unprecedented heights. Teams are relocating games to accommodate the demand she generates. Networks are prioritizing her matchups. This isn't opinion, it's broadcast scheduling and ticket sales data. Reese telling fans to mind their own business overlooks a fundamental truth. In pro sports, the fans are the business. Their attention, engagement, and money fuel the entire enterprise. Insulting them is like cutting off your own supply line. It's worth noting that athletes in other major leagues like the NFL, NBA, and MLB face intense criticism daily. Part of earning massive salaries and playing on a public stage involves developing resilience to public opinion. The WNBA has fought for decades for this level of mainstream relevance. Now that it's here, largely thanks to a generational talent capturing the public imagination, actions perceived as pushing fans away seem counterproductive to the league's long-term goals. Ultimately, Angel Reese stands at a critical juncture. Will she be remembered as a catalyst who embraced the spotlight and helped elevate the WNBA, or as a controversial figure whose actions created friction during its most crucial growth phase? The next chapter of her story, and potentially the league's, is still being written.